I didn't like the way they were conducted. It looked an awful lot to me like people just had no respect for one another. What is going to happen here, we are going to be respectful of one another. I am going to run the meeting respecting people. I expect to be respected. If there is yelling, hollering, swearing at one another, I have the sheriff's number. If you see me ask for an adjournment resolution, it will be to have the sheriff come and remove people. First time through, the sheriff has agreed just to help people out of here. The second time through, they will be arrested. The town of Palatine has a First Amendment right. And at a town meeting, it trumps the individual right when the individual seeks to interrupt the meeting or make it not flow. I will use that power if I have to. What I would choose to do is serve the people of the town of Palatine, not rule over them. It's a few minutes before we start now. If somebody has a comment, somebody has an idea of what I should tackle first. It looks to me like one big mess. I've got some things that I have to do. Does anybody have any comments or directions they think I should work in? Yes?
John McClellan, hello, how are you?
Good.
In terms of direction and advice, I would just refer you to the open meetings law of the state of New York.
Yes.
When we talked about how to conduct ourselves in meetings. I absolutely agree with you. It's been a circus from time to time. And not getting into First or Second Amendment rights, irrespective of the constitutionality. The open meetings law is a wonderful reference, and I think reprising that with people to remind them of it, it would be important, because there are guidelines on public speaking that are clearly laid out, and we as citizens sometimes would need a refresher on that.
And your name was what?
John McGlone, McGlone.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
Is there anybody else? Okay. We've got a few minutes yet. Wait till the official hour. One other short announcement. Sean Cotton will not be here. He's in the hospital with pneumonia. So it changes the complexion of this meeting by quite a bit for me. Because of that, I will not be running the entire agenda. This will be a partial organizational meeting. We aren't going to run the whole agenda.
Bill,
Yes.
if we still have a minute before the meeting starts,
Sure.
there's something I'd like to say which I don't think is on the agenda. In the long term, it's important. It's not a short-term priority, but you have a comprehensive plan effort going.
Hard for me to hear you.
Oh, sorry. There's a comprehensive plan process underway, led by a steering committee appointed by the town board. Sean Cotton has been to one of the meetings. It doesn't really feature in the need to bring order back because the meetings of that group are actually decorous, as they are of the planning committee in general. I think you've got a few individuals who are disruptive and they don't go to the boring meetings. But I'd just like to remind you that that's underway, and I think in the long term it's important to have a comprehensive plan.
The planning board, the zoning board of appeals are presently performing, and I haven't dealt with appointments in that area.
Now, this is a special steering committee that's been appointed by the town. I'm just alerting you to the fact that it exists.
Okay, thank you. The agenda's under the wonderful picture. Okay, all right, call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, maybe you'll get tired of hearing from me, but I have another little speech to make. This town went through an audit by the State Department. State Department, you'll see on the last page of my handout, had some comments about this town's finances. One of my first jobs has to be, I really have no choice. We have to come up with a corrected action plan for those people. Now, we've got about 35 days to do it. To start working in the financial area, I need the banking resolutions passed today. If possible, we can go at it a different way. I would prefer to just deal with the financial resolutions today. I will start by giving you an idea of what is at hand. Going through the minutes the last 4 years, I could not find any resolutions putting money in Mellon Bank in New York. Right now, the balance in Mellon Bank in New York is $1,454,113. I feel I should deal with that right away. You board members, look at the motion that has my name on to handle M&T Bank, Mellon Bank and MBT Bank. You will find the wording. Gives me authority to put money in, take money out, get drafts in my own name, walk into Mellon Bank in New York, draw out $1.4 million. You board members should, who have been here before, should have no problem approving that resolution. You've already done it 3 times. The only difference is it has my name on instead of my predecessor. That's been a closet deal. This board never authorized any money to go to Mellon Bank. There was a three-party agreement between NBT, Mellon Bank, and the town of Palatine, which has been at the sole discretion of the supervisor. Chris, page 66 in your town law manual has to do with finances. The essence of that part of the law is the supervisor will give financial information to the board members monthly. I can't find where that's ever been done. Okay, Mellon Bank, I have to get under control so that someone else who is no longer supervisor doesn't get in the account and take it all. That's pretty important to me. That's $1,411,000 sitting there. The taxpayers of the town of Palatine were graceful enough to stick it in there. I think maybe they paid a little too much. So much for Mellon Bank and NBT. Now let's get to the existing checking accounts that the town has. One account has a balance as of today, not including the taxes that we've taken in early, of $870,000. $870,011. All right, this is right before the town taxes come in. This township should be short on cash. This is tax season when the money comes in. Are you getting the picture? Look at that last page on my handout. There has been no financial management. Another account the town has, checking account, has $511,861 in it. All right, these bother me more than the Mellon Bank. Again, refer to your law manual. The town is to keep no more money in a checking account than the FDIC has insurance for. And the insurance is $250,000. If somebody hacks any of these bank accounts, which happens these days, it's happening quite frequently. If they hack that money, get that money out of that account, that bank will give us $250,000 and say, I'm awful sorry about that. And I don't want to have to explain that to the taxpayers of this township. This is going to be the last day I have to explain it. If this board doesn't pass the resolutions to let me straighten it out, the men will not get paid, and they'll have to explain to the taxpayers what happened to the money if it gets hacked. Okay, I pulled the banking resolutions only out. The first resolution I would like to pass, I resolve that we authorize the supervisor to keep accounts in NBT Bank. I make the motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I'm just curious, I have a few questions if you don't
Sure.
mind. I understand we've had built up balances in accounts, and we keep separate accounts for use in our highway fund versus our general fund balances. And we just passed a resolution to authorize spending of $250,000 plus another $73,000 into the highway fund last month and the month before. So that would be about 325 of that 5 and change in there. I'm just curious, what is your intention to do with $1,400,000?
My intention to do with it?
Yes.
Okay, let's go one more step. I right now am interviewing with 3 private auditing firms. We aren't looking at cash in Mellon Bank. We're looking at treasury certificates, depository relationships of derivatives. And somebody chose to tie up one of those instruments until 2032. I have to have an accountant show me the present value and what it would cost to get that out of there early versus leaving it in there. And then we have to weigh what we're going to do with taxes in the future with the taxpayers. There's nothing going to happen fast there except access to that Mellon Bank money. The other money in the checking accounts, I'm assuming it has not left yet to suit the resolutions that you passed, right? The money, no money's been moved. So I have to figure out the cash flow, because townships receive the bulk of their income through a 2-month period through the year. The rest of the year, you have to be able to pull cash out to pay bills. The third page that I passed out to you. The State Department thinks there's no rhyme or reason between the budget and spending procedures of this town. I have to come up with a reasonable budget and reasonable spending figures as soon as I can, and come up with a tax rate that is appropriate for the spending. Right now, the tax rate has been adjusted by $250,000 in the present budget. So if we don't apply $250,000 to next year's budget, we will have between a 20 and 30% tax increase. I gotta have some help. I don't wanna try to be a quick study with municipal finances. When you hire an accountant to do a municipality, the accountant has to have a license and they've been to school and they understand New York State and town finances. I'm going to school in a couple weeks. I'm sure I'll learn a little bit, but I don't want to be a quick study. And the other thing is, I want to draw a line in the sand between my taking over and what went on here in the past. It's going to cost some money, and this board is going to have to pass a resolution to do it. If they don't, we'll just feel our way through it. I'm pretty sure when I have my deputy supervisor here that I'm going to appoint, we'll get it done, and I'm sure these two gentlemen here will come right along with us. It's a little complicated. It's a good problem to have. We could be out of money. I consulted with one supervisor, a friend of mine, he didn't have enough to make payroll first time he took over. So, it's a good problem to have. But we've taken way too much away from these taxpayers. And we have to figure out how to get it to these taxpayers in the best form possible. I'm conservative. I don't want to build a big building. I have some ideas, but they don't involve a big building. And we're not going to explore any of that stuff until we've got a definite handle on the finances. And the other thing is, I have to have a handle on the finances to put together an answer to the State Department of what we're doing to straighten the mess out. The last page that I handed out to you is pretty concise. We're under the gun to get it done. Now, if I'm a little delinquent and don't get it done right away, I don't believe they're going to put me in jail. I didn't do anything. So they really don't scare me that much. I want a good, thorough job, and I want a good handle on the finances, the money coming and the money going, before we decide what to do with surplus. We can work through the budget procedure and go one step at a time. Okay? Yes?
You said there were 3 checking accounts and you gave us figures for 2.
Yeah, I gave you figures for 2. The third one is $16,717.
Thank you.
Now, those figures, Mr. Como decree that we can pay our taxes early. So Linda's been collecting some tax money early. So these figures aren't entirely accurate. Now, what I'm gonna be doing, you can pass this around. Starting next month, my board members are gonna get a paper just like this, and there's gonna be numbers in the blanks. You're gonna know how much money we have, how much has been taken in, and how much has been spent. To me, you board members have responsibilities with the budget. And I want you to help. I know, it's been in the back room. Pass these out. This is my own crude setup, but I assure you, it will work. As we go along, we'll figure out something that'll work a little better. All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one is carried.
Which one did we do
This is,
first?
you just did MBT Bank,
Okay.
okay?
So that is this is gonna be called Resolution 1
That's good.
of 2018.
Yeah, you try to keep me straight here. I don't know all these little rules. Gotta learn them. Okay, resolution number 2 that I'm looking at. I resolve that the supervisor is authorized to keep money in Mellon Bank, the Bank of New York. Frankly, that's so I can get the money out when we have to. That's what that's about. Now, to reiterate, there's a 3-party agreement between NBT Bank, Mellon Bank, and the town of Palatine. I don't have access to the agreement. There isn't one in this office. I gotta go to the bank and say to the bank, I wanna see a copy of the agreement. I want the option to go to Mellon Bank all by myself and pull the money out. You don't pull $1.4 million away from somebody and not have them squawk. The other thing that went on in the past, this one agreement with Mellon Bank is the only way the finances were handled. I don't do things like that. We've got another resolution here to Key Bank. I'm gonna make the 2 banks compete. I don't like this backroom deal and no competition. We just decided to do it this way. All right? That's what's going on here. All right, I made the resolution to authorize the supervisor to keep accounts in Mellon Bank in New York. Is there a second? Second by Betty. Any more discussion?
I would assume, Mr. Supervisor, that you would not make any withdrawals without notification of the board, to the board?
What's gonna, I will not make any withdrawals.
Okay.
I will, yes.
Okay. I gotta ask questions before that's why.
I don't blame you.
Okay.
Let's go one step further. Right now, one person can sign these checks for any amount of money this town has and take a walk. You look at this resolution, you can make the check out to yourself personally and tell the bank, go scratch, you know? You've got no right to tell me not to do it or to do it. I will change that. As soon as I'm used to the cash flow around here, the normal bills will be paid with one signature. Any moving around of money that the town has that isn't required to pay bills will take 2 signatures. It's just no more than good business. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? What are we, Chris, 2?
2, that's number 2.
Okay, here's the Key Bank resolution. I resolve to authorize the supervisor to keep accounts in Key Bank of Palatine Bridge. It's the only bank in the town of Palatine. And it's a large money center bank. We should be able to put them in competition with NBT for some of these larger deposits. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I didn't get that.
Number 3,
I'm an abstention on number 3.
Abstain?
Yes.